What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. For our first question, Caleb Diaz asks if the War of the Bounty Hunters comic suggests that Qi'ra was on the Falcon and saw Han again at some point after the events of Solo.
So, a good catch. It's something that I just breezed right by, but Qi'ra goes onto the Falcon at the end of War of the Bounty Hunters. She talks with Leia, and she also brings, like, some good brandy or something to share. And she's looking around, she's like, I know Han used to have some cups around here somewhere. That could just be a throwaway line, like, there's gotta be cups around here. But it does seem kind of like, yeah, she's been on the Falcon since Han got it. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, she could have also, I don't know, that line could have been meant for Lando and not...
She said Han. She says, I know Han had some cups around here.
I don't know. That's such a small little side line that I don't think I would read too much into that.
It's definitely one of those things where you're like I said, I read right by it and didn't even stop to think. I don't necessarily think Charles Soule is teasing anything, but I think that maybe in his mind he could be saying that. And it's something that, you know, if there are Solo sequels and she never gets back on the Falcon, it's not going to be negated. But for now, I think it's fun headcanon. It also kind of reminds me of the way we know that there were going to be some Solo sequels, like they had ideas for a future story. And it reminds me of when the Clone Wars was canceled initially, and there were all these unfinished stories, and we jump into like Star Wars Rebels, and they very much treat those stories as if they happened. They're like, yeah, like we're just gonna tell Charles maybe like this was what the plan was, and so Charles has that idea in his head, and so maybe he writes that on purpose. Maybe he's being cheeky.
I mean, this also makes sense for her character to talk to Leia like this. Like, she's a little sassy. And so by her saying that, that's her secretly, like, saying, I've been in this place. I know where things are. Like, I had them first.
That's not a bad point. I mean, I think that Qi'ra is being I think she's being genuine at that point in time. She's being very nice to Leia, but this whole thing, the whole War of the Bounty Hunters was a big manipulation. And she manipulated the rebels too, so this could be furthering that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it's like an ex-girlfriend coming into their ex's apartment while the new girlfriend is there and being like, oh, don't worry, I know where things are.
Mm-hmm. My ex-girlfriends come over all the time, and Molly has this battle, and oh my gosh, yeah, it's just crazy.
Jordan Catley wants to know if we'll ever see young Palpatine as played by Matt Smith. So this stuff came out a little while ago, and everybody was talking about Matt Smith and who he was going to be in Episode 9, and we all just kind of decided it was going to be young Palpatine. It's not like he said that and confirmed it, but...
Yeah, that's true. He never did say the words, I was going to be Palpatine. So we are like kind of connecting dots here. I believe it was Noah Outlaw who said that that's what the plan was going to be, and we're just kind of speculating off of that. So let's assume that Matt Smith was going to play Palpatine. Does that mean he could ever play Palpatine in the future? We kind of touched on this in our news roundup this past week that, yeah, I think it does. It's kind of like when Genevieve O'Reilly was supposed to be Mon Mothma in Revenge of the Sith. And then that scene got deleted. And then later on in Rogue One, they needed Mon Mothma. And they were like, let's get Genevieve.
Yeah. I think it's definitely possible to happen sometime in the future. But Matt Smith is a busy guy. He's got a lot of projects that he's on.
Yeah, he's in House of the Dragon now. I don't know how being one of the doctors works. Like, is he, with time being all timey-wimey? I don't know why I'm trying to be cheeky about Doctor Who. We don't know anything about Doctor Who.
Pretty sure he lives in that phone booth.
Right. It's bigger on the inside. I think that's something they say. I do think that there's a chance, but I don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind him getting to do something else in Star Wars. I mean, of course, in that interview, he was like, oh, I'd love to do Star Wars someday. Like, anyone's going to say, no, I would never do that again.
Mm-hmm. Stan asks if there will be any reference to Mace Windu in the Book of Boba Fett.
So not like an appearance, just any reference. Will Boba Fett say his name or something? And they asked this question based off of the Empire from a certain point of view where Boba Fett kind of thinks on Mace as the one who got away. He always wanted revenge.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm also going to say no. I doubt it. It would be fun. I really want that era of Star Wars to connect more with the prequel era. Every time it's happened, it's been very tenuous. I guess this would just be another tenuous connection, though. If Boba just mentioned that time some Jedi cut his father's head off.
Yeah. I feel like he's got a lot of other things on his mind, and I don't know why he would bring that up.
There might be a reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they run into a Jedi or something, but
the only way I would like him to bring it up is to confirm that he's dead.
It's like, I remember when Luke said the words Darth Sidious in The Last Jedi, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, it literally is just another name for Palpatine. But I was like, oh man, they said a prequel thing, and I want that to happen more and make it bigger.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So if this does happen, it'll be really cool and exciting, but like you said, might not really mean anything.
I mean, rumor is we're gonna get like some Cad Bane stuff, and I mean, Finnick is kind of involved with the prequels, but was made well after them, so that's a little weird. And like, same with Cad Bane, he wasn't in the prequel trilogy, but I would still be happy with a connection like that. And I guess, Ahsoka also happened.
Sooner Thrawn wants to know if it's been explained how Maul wound up on Malachor in Star Wars Rebels.
No, not yet, but since we were talking about Qira, I do really like that fan theory that
that she got him there.
That she takes over Crimson Dawn and gives him the boot.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, and it feels like something that could happen with the direction that they're going with the storytelling. I don't know.
It's like we're recording this before Disney Plus Day, but if that Crimson Dawn series got announced, or if not, and that's still a rumor floating out, I'm not even sure that would cover that point in time, because I think the rumor said it would be from like the Bad Batch Clone Wars area moving forward, and then you'd have to cover like 10 years. So maybe they could do like an epilogue at some point of just a ship flying over Malachor, and then like you see Maul fly out of it.
Or, I mean, is there a chance that he voluntarily went there?
Maybe. I mean, he did seem to know what was in the Malachor temple. I mean, he'd been to Malachor before, so it seemed like he was searching for something. Maybe he went there, and then an Inquisitor showed up and blew his ship up, and he got stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, the answer is we don't know right now.
Nick Canavan asks if Snoke knew about Exigle.
I'm going to say no. He seems like... I'm leaning more and more towards that he was basically a meat puppet. Maybe he had some level of free will, but if he did, I think he'd be on a need-to-know basis there.
I mean, that's where he was made, so I would have to assume he has some memory of that place.
Unless he was, activated elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's... We still just don't know enough about Snoke and how he works. Like, if he had autonomy, if Palpatine was like, okay, off you go, and good luck, or if Palpatine was literally guiding his actions.
Yeah, I guess in that case, he wouldn't know about it because Palpatine wouldn't want him to spill the beans on accident.
Yeah. That's kind of my thinking, is that this is maybe his biggest contingency. And so, there's a lot riding on this. Maybe let's not tell the thing that I grew in a pickle jar. Let's not leave that up to chance.
That's it for our patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon, where we leave every submitted question a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. We have tons of other rewards like audio commentaries for the films and every new Star Wars series premiering on Disney+. We also record video reactions to every new series as we watch them for the first time. We're doing book clubs to discuss every new Star Wars book as they release. We have behind-the-scenes content, comic reactions every Wednesday, and more. All of that is available right now on our Patreon if you're interested.
On to YouTube questions. Ashton L. asks if all the bounty hunters have forgiven each other at the end of the War of the Bounty Hunters.
I'm going to say yes to a degree. Like, I think that maybe by the end it's it's probably a case-by-case basis. But I see them as all going like, it was nothing personal. We all just wanted the bounty.
Yeah, I see it as kind of an unspoken agreement.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
I mean, there was a lot of ambushing of Boba Fett, and then he got the upper hand and hit back for it. Like, he blew off Bosk's legs and left him tied up next to a rock.
But he knew that they would grow back.
Yeah. So I feel like there was a give and take there. And Boba Fett is like, all right, I'm not going to hold a grudge if you don't. Valance might. He's like a comic-only character, and Boba Fett really betrayed him when Valance did nothing but help for the most part. So Valance might have a grudge, but I think the big names, Bosk, Forlom, Zuckuss, I think they're all fine.
It'll be interesting to see maybe this get answered by the way that other people feel about Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett.
That's true. We can see that.
Alex Blanco wants to know if the orange energy shields in the Book of Boba Fett trailer are related to the ones from Master and Apprentice.
Nah, I don't think so.
I didn't even think about that till just now, but...
A cool idea.
They
so
could be.
Let's talk about that real quick. There in Master and Apprentice, we learn about these kind of like... They're similar, but not quite kyber crystals. They give off an orange glow. You can put them in a lightsaber, but you can also make shields out of them. And if a lightsaber hits it, then it will basically dissipate. It'll turn off and have to be repaired. So orange shields, there is a connection, but I really, really doubt the people doing Book of Boba Fett are thinking about that. I think they just wanted the shields to be orange.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that they've read that book and know about that connection. They could be thinking like, oh, remember those Gungan shields from episode 1? Let's make something like that.
Yeah,
make them orange.
Exactly. Because I don't think that these underworld people are going to be fighting Jedi. They're fighting Boba Fett. So there's not a real point in having these like lightsaber diffusing shields when there's only one Jedi running around. And why would he come back to Tatooine? He hates it here.
Seb Mess asks, how much of the 2003 Clone Wars is canon?
Not a lot. There have been some references here or there. You can, and Seb even says in their question that there are some contradictions already, like Grievous coughing before the Battle of Coruscant. The original Clone Wars kind of answered why he does that. And they changed it. But there still have been references to like the Battle of Hypori and exactly kind of how that played out. So it's a case-by-case basis, but for the most part, I would just assume that the 2003 Clone Wars didn't happen. Dirge was just brought back into the Dr. Aphra comics, though, so maybe things will continue to trickle into canon here or there, but for some of it, I think there's too much that is messing with what already exists.
Is that where Anakin got his scar from Ventress?
No, that was a comic. But it is when Anakin got knighted, and I think we're just about to get that story in a book next year, so that's probably going to tell a different story. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it'll reference the Clone Wars as well.
Yeah. Blaze Cap wants to know if Valance could appear in the Book of Boba Fett.
So that's the bounty hunter I was just talking about, the one that's from the Bounty Hunters comic, and he's basically a comic-only character. No, I don't think he's going to be in the Book of Boba Fett. It would be a very Cobb Vanth kind of situation where I would be thrilled if it happened, but yeah, I think he's going to stick to comics.
Well, you did say that he would be one of the ones that would probably have a grudge. So if they needed to introduce someone to cause some trouble for Boba Fett, it's possible.
It would be fun. I would really like to see that happen. It's funny, though, I'm noticing a lot more because recently Pablo Hidalgo talked about how, Aura Singh, before Attack of the Clones, they used her a lot in comics and books strictly because she wasn't going to be in Attack of the Clones. She was a safe character to do whatever they wanted to do with, and people read into that and thought, oh, she's going to be in Attack of the Clones. And I'm definitely guilty of this for things like Phasma and other current books. But I remember when the Bounty Hunters comic started, and I was like, why is this about Valance? I mean, I knew who he was from Legends, but it's like Valance and a bunch of other characters who we don't know. And yeah, they're bounty hunters, but I was like, I thought this was going to be about Boba Fett and Bossk, etc. And they pop up here or there. But I think it's about those other side characters strictly because they're not going to be in anything live action. Whereas Boba Fett is. And for our last question, TWSTF8 asked if we're ever going to do questions in these Q&As that have definite answers. And yeah, it happens sometimes. Like, I will pick a question that a lot of people are asking if they are just dying to know the answer. But for the most part, we like to choose more open-ended questions because they're more fun to discuss.
Yeah, if there's like a yes or no answer or a person's name as the answer, it's not as fun to really get into the nitty gritty of.
Yeah, there's no back and forth. It's just kind of like, where's Rada the Hutt? I don't know. Like, no one's told us. Moving on.
Yeah.
Which I just picked an example that doesn't have a definite answer. But yeah, there are a lot of times where people will just ask something because they want to know, but I won't pick it for the Q&A because we want to talk and goof around and have fun.
It does get answered on Patreon if your question is submitted there.
Yeah, I answer everything on Patreon, and then I've also been keeping an eye out for fun questions that have answers to do in shorts. Like, we've been doing a lot of shorts recently, and those are perfect for that because there is no discussion. It's just like, here's the answer and where it's from. Boom. Gotcha. But yeah, I just thought that was a good time to answer that question because I've seen that before as well. Why are all of our answers like, maybe this, maybe that? I don't know. It's like, because we don't have answers and we're just discussing things. But that's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's Q&A, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.